Well, we have this opportunity coming up here against the Vikings before bye time comes. Um, we're looking forward to finding the consistency that's got us to where we are, just winning 4 games, and we're going to try to do it again. There's a lot of areas I think I said to you guys earlier that that we can improve on, and we have to keep stressing getting better at every phase of things, and that's really what's at hand right now. Just keep improving and try to play real consistent, good football. And if we take care of the ball, then we have a pretty good chance of winning. The Vikings have had a very difficult schedule. They played really good clubs, and they played really good last week. They've got great scheme. Coach Zimmer does a terrific job. The whole football team has got a whole style about them. They run the football hard and tough. They play good defense. They're good on teams, and they've been really explosive in the passing game with the receivers that are terrific. So we've got a real challenge for us. They know us. We know them. There's a lot of commonality in that, and so hopefully we can put together another good week and come out firing here back home. Playing in the Northwest. It's good to be home. Good not have to take that trip that we keep ripping across the country.
Bob?
Yeah, Pete, we saw you sign Snacks Harrison and Jonathan Bullard today. What is sort of the plan with Snacks and being on the practice squad for now, and then how does Jonathan Bullard fit into things as well?
Well, both guys we're hoping are going to help us, and Jonathan, you probably don't know as much about. We have some background with him. Clint coached him a while back, and so we have some inside scoop on him. We're excited to see how he fits into the rotation. And with Snacks, Damon's he's been a real force in the league, and he's got a real special style, and he's so big and so strong and stout in the middle. This opportunity to get him now and to get him on the practice squad is to give him some chance to work and get ready and learn what we're doing and see where he can fit in as soon as possible. If you've noticed, we've been able to use players off our practice squad that have been playing in our games, and they've been part of it. It's an expanded roster in the new format, and we're trying to take full advantage of that and make the most of it. So, whenever you can get a guy, Damon comes to us. He's a player that's got big character in the locker room. His attitude and personality that you add to the team is really special, and so whenever we can do that, we're trying to get better, and so hopefully he'll be able to add in. Right now, we just want him to just get to work and get going with us.
Jen?
Coach Delvin Cook leads the NFL not only in yards but also in broken tackles. What is it about his style of play that has him leading in that category?
He's really explosive. He's got great speed. He's not the fastest running back in the league, but he plays like it. He's such a quick accelerator that the whole field is available to him on any play. He can wind up on a play that starts wide to the right, all the way going out the back door. He's done that multiple times, and if he's running an inside play, it could wind up being an outside play in either direction. He's very creative and very explosive, and obviously looks like he's in great shape and really fit and ready to handle it. And they can throw the ball to him, and he's really dangerous in the open field. So he's an excellent football player. They create the balance that an offense can have by having him in the backfield, and it's a real good part of their game. It's really helping their play action game too.
Corbin?
Hey, Pete, you've been very forthcoming about the discipline that's necessary to play during a pandemic. I'm just curious, seeing what's coming out of Tennessee now with some of the players holding their own practice when they were not supposed to be doing so. Do you think that forfeiting games should be on the table, or losing draft picks? What do you think is the appropriate response to try to punish a team when stuff like that's going on right now?
Well, that's really league business, Corbin. I don't, they don't. The league doesn't want teams to find a way to get ahead of another team, and they're trying to keep the competitive, playing level equal. And so if guys aren't, if teams aren't doing what they're supposed to do, then you got to do something. And I don't know what's appropriate right now. We're in kind of new territory right here. Sometimes you get fined and you got to pay it, and sometimes you get docked something, you got to give it up. And so I don't have a good thought for how you would balance that out or where you should go. It's really not my discussion, but we're going to try to do everything right so we don't have to even face that issue, of course. And But the league, you got to expect the league to take action. They're trying to keep the 11 level playing field, and that's really a big issue for the league. And so that's how they're going to go about it, and that's how they're doing it. Sorry, I
John?
don't have much.
You just mentioned the bigger practice squad being able to move guys around. I know this all kind of came about because of the unusual circumstances of this year, but do you like this? I mean, would you like to see more flexibility to have more guys?
Yeah, no, I really, John, I think this is great. It's great for a lot of reasons. When you're practicing, I mean, if you can imagine being on a football team and you're on a practice squad and you know you can't play, as opposed to now you're practicing and you got a chance that you could be playing in this game, and all 16 guys have a shot, and it's just better. It's just a better way, and I don't know, what'll happen in the future, but the flexibility, the opportunity to use those variables to coach, it's cool. It's a cool part of it. So it does call for John and I, the personnel people in the football staff, to really work together on this. But I think it's a great new way. I hope we can find a way to keep something similar to this. And plus you got 16 guys instead of 10 guys. You've got more guys playing football that love the game. That whatever that is. 6 times 32, it's probably 100 and something. That's a lot of players that get to play the game that wouldn't get to play otherwise. Jen, you want to add that up real quick? Don't do it. You'll screw it up.
Curtis?
Next.
Yeah, Pete, how are Jamal Quinton and Jordan Brooks doing, and what led to Nico ultimately needing to go on IR for you?
Well, let me start with Nico. Nico's got the athletic hernia kind of symptoms coming right now. We got to see what he needs to get right. He's been working real hard to get back, and he just can't get going. Often when you have that injury, you feel okay, you don't hurt, but you just can't quite stride and go, and that's kind of where he is. He's worked hard to get to that point, and so now we know. So we got to try to get him fixed up and whatever we can do. I'm not sure what the course will be, but we're open to everything for him. You asked about Jordan Brooks. Jordan's he's still working on coming back. He's not able to move around yet, so it's going to be hard for him to get back this week. Did you mention somebody else too?
Yeah, Jamal and Quinton Dunbar.
Yeah, Quentin went through the walkthrough today. He'll practice tomorrow, and we'll see how that fits for him coming back. He's determined to try to get back for this ball game, so we'll see what happens there. Jamal's still going to be another week away. Unfortunately, he's not going to make it back. That was a good one. I gave you that one.
Joe?
Pete, curious if a guy like Damon Harrison can help free things up for Jaron Reed, maybe from a pass rush standpoint.
Well, Snacks has been a notorious run defender. I mean, he's big time in the middle and stopping things up. He's not been a guy that's going to be the third down pass specialist. But that doesn't mean that on the earlier downs, by him creating the penetration, he can't free up space and all that. He's been a factor like that in the past, and so we'll hope for that. As we get going, we got to get him back in there first.
Jackie?
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Minnesota and their explosive plays. Their rookie receiver, he leads the league and catches over 20 yards. Can you talk about his impact on the team and then also their other, the tight end?
Yeah, if there's enough time in a 4-game season to start slow and then really get going, I mean, it took him a game or two and then he's just exploded on the scene. He's a fantastic football player. In every way. He's explosive. He's big enough. He's really got a great catching range. He's got a creative way to catch, get to the ball and all. He's really good after the catch. He's run, that the reason his numbers are up, he's made some people miss him in the open field, and yards after catch have been available to him. He's just a terrific player.
Matt?
Pete, when you look at a guy like DK Metcalf at this point last year compared to this point this year, what are the main differences that you see?
Well, there's quite a bit, really. Because he was new and we were trying to figure it out, and try to, bring him along. And he was always really smart learning his stuff. But you take care of the rook. You don't give him too much. You don't want to overload him. As we got near the end of the season, we realized he really could handle the whole package. And so he goes into the off season and comes back with what we do and he does with a whole new thought about what he can add. We can move them all around. We can put them in different positions. We can run every route with them. We were more conservative than a year ago. He has dedicated himself to finding every competitive way he can to get as good as he can get. And I'm so thrilled about seeing that. It's so obvious because he works so hard, he cares so much, and he's obviously so talented that he's just opened up the world, the world of being a great player to us. And so also the time that he spent with Russ in the summertime was so beneficial for their confidence in one another, and the chemistry that thrower and a catcher can develop. They're well on their way, and they'll get better. They'll just continue to improve. But they made a big jump from last year at this time. So he's just improved in every way. Our confidence in him, his confidence in himself, the relationship with the quarterback is all at the essence of all of that.
Tim?
Hey, Pete, two things. Is Snacks cleared through the protocol at this point where he can actually practice today, or does he still have some days to go?
No, if he's out here, he's cleared. Yeah, so he's
okay, and he's going to be participating today?
Yes.
Okay. And then what do you remember about when John, showed you Ryan Neal and the idea of bringing him into the practice squad? I believe it was before the start of, or at the start of last season.
Like what we saw of him on film. Yeah, I think he was at Atlanta, and he was just running around, and he just showed a real aggressive style. He had good looking, he's tall and long and all that, and we thought, maybe he could play corner for us. He had grown up as a safety, I understand, and so we kind of always knew that, but we wanted to see if, what would he look like as a corner, which only helps him in our system because we don't have a hesitation at all to match him up with whomever. And so, but I think it was really the aggressive style that he was kind of an attack player that is what caught my eye. And I thought you could see enough in the film we saw that you could see what kind of a style player he would be. And we just didn't know how good or how he learned. We didn't know all that stuff at the time. But he's become, gosh, what a great addition to this opportunity and to this defense to come in and do what he's been doing. So he brings a lot with him. It's not just athleticism; it's the smarts and his attitude and his character and all of that's added to it.
Michael Sean.
Hey, Pete, when you're assessing whether your defense is good or not, what are the metrics that you prioritize? I know turnovers is one, but maybe besides that, what are some of the metrics you go to first to say whether?
Yeah, it really starts with, and this is going to hit right to home here, but it starts with not letting people have easy plays, easy long plays. That's where it begins. If you're giving up long plays, you're not playing well. And so, you notice the emphasis just from 2 weeks ago to last week how important it is for us to just get that out of our football. I'm not accustomed to that, and and I let these guys know it, that we needed to fix that now. And so that's where it starts. If you're giving up long plays, you're no good. And so fortunately we survived, kind of the growing pains of kind of getting this season started with having the really productive offense. And guys come through too. Right? Our players came through at the end of games and did the things we needed to do to win. So it starts there. Then the next thing is if they can run the ball at you, then you're no good, and so because it's too easy for them to be on offense if they can run it. So it's as basic as that sounds. Long plays, running game, and then getting after the football. And if you can get after the football and take it away from your opponent, that makes all the difference in the world. And of all of the things, other than just giving up easy plays, if you can get the football, you can change the fortune of your games and seasons and stuff like that. So, fortunately, our guys are hawking the football pretty good right now, and we're just getting started. We have not been knocking the ball out as much as we want, fumbles and stuff, but we're on it. And if we can get that going and get our numbers going, we always anticipate being on the top of the league in turnover ratio, and that's just it's just a goal of ours, and when you're doing that, you usually can win. And so that's as basic as I can get it to you. It's really the parameters of it.
And if he can figure out how to unmute today, Greg?
Technical snafus. I'm good now. Pete, what's the chances?
We could ask the group what they think about that.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I can go back into mute mode if you want me to. What's the realistic chances Harrison can play Sunday night?
Let me see him on the practice field first. I don't know. I got to see what he looks like running around. Learning the defense, he'll be fine there. He's a really smart football player. That's not going to be a problem. It's just how fit he is and all of that. And he's a big man, so we got to see what he looks like.
And then we saw the new COVID protocols the league published yesterday in a memo after you talked about it Monday. How much of a departure is it for the Seahawks? I saw more buses. I've seen more buses on you guys' road trips already and all that stuff. Is this a departure from what you've already been doing?
No, it's just calling. No, not our expectations and standards have been pretty much in line with everything that they've called for from the beginning. The things they've called for are basically the things you have to do to have a chance to control this thing. So to us, it's more of an update and a kind of a jerk your neck a little bit. We got to get back on, make sure we're on everything, and it's more about the discipline than the newness of stuff, and that means guys just doing a good job and they've made a statement about the masks, the style of masks, which I think was really good, and I think they're right about it, and we might have got a little lax about, we had something on, so we felt okay, so we've stepped that up. But it's really the consistency. We just have to just stay on everything at all times forever. There's no in-between times. There's really no relaxing time. And so the heads-ups and the reminders are really, I think, in line just with any time you're trying to discipline something. You have to come back to the details and the focus, and you got to remind people how crucial and important it is to stay in connection with it. So that's really what they've done, and I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think it's good.
Do you think the league's been punitive or proactive in the way they've handled this?
Well, they're trying to be a combination of both. What they're looking for, they're looking for the results. And as always, if it's not happening, then you got to make a statement. And just as they did with the masks with the coaches right in the first week, they didn't think it was good enough, and they made a statement, and we changed. And they were right, and they did a good job there. The punitive part of it has not really shown up much yet, but with this step up in emphasis, it's more apparent that they're ready to go and willing to do what they got to do, and so you can fight it or you can just go along with the rules of the game, and that's what we're doing, and we're going to make sure that we exercise really well and do this really well and pull it off. We're trying to win a lot of games here. You win football games, you got to win the COVID game, you got to win the travel game. There's a lot going on here, and we just have to be on it and not back down at all. So their reminders to me are just, I think we all can use that. It's good for us.
Art.
Art, before you say something, think about way back, 6 months ago, if we'd had been this strict about everything, all the way we're living, all of our communities, if everybody would have, the whole country would have gone about it as strictly as we're going about it right now. We're bubbling now. We're doing it, and we're finding success doing it, and we're finding that there's some holes in it, even at that. But had we been this disciplined at the start across the country, we would never see what we had seen. But it's demanding, it's difficult, it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's hard to make sense of it, but you got to do it anyway because it's the right way to handle it. And so sorry, hit it, Art.
Harrison hasn't been on the football field in almost 10 months now. Given the restrictions that around COVID, how much more difficult is it this year to make mid-season transactions when you can't know very much about the guys you're picking up?
Well, I'm trying to see where we would know more in other years than we would know now. If a guy, if it was an yeah, okay. Well, once okay, I got you. Once we're here, though, once we're here in the season, it's no different. But there's all kinds of information we'd have gathered across the board on players had we had the off season. You're right about that. But once we're here, bring the guy in, got to check him out. These guys come in here. They're in here for 5 days now before they can even get to the building. And so that's just part of the transition period. So he's already been in town for a long time. He just hasn't been doing any football. But once they're here, it's pretty much the same.
Brady.
Hi, Pete. What have you liked most about the way that Russell's played through 4 games?
Well, first it's consistency, and each game has almost looked like the last game. He just carried on. I think 2 weeks ago we were a little bit different. Didn't feel quite the same, but the results were excellent, and so his consistency, his command of what's going on, his comfort in the pocket with our protection, his connection to his receivers, using them uniquely to the way they bring their game. Because Tyler and Russ operate on a level that nobody knows, and he and DK are finding a way. He and Greg are finding a way to to start hooking up in crucial situations, which is great. So, I mean, I think it's all of that, but I think the consistency and is what's most important, and I do think it's because of all of the factors fitting together.
Thanks.
Jackie?
Coach, yesterday ESPN had an article that ranked Carlos and Chris Carson as two of the top 10 backs in the league. And I'm just curious what you like the most about this combination.
Oh, man, I love this combination. I really do. I can't wait for Carlos and Chris to get back out there. I hope Carlos will get back in this week. What I love about it is we have two guys that present alike issues for our opponents, and they both just are relentless at being physical and aggressive. And I just love that part of the game, their style. And they don't look the same when they run, but the results are similar. They both rushed for 1,000 yards last year, and in kind of similar fashion. So it's just the constant that we can bring you. We've two hammers, and I love the way those guys play. So it's really fun to have them.
Curtis?
Pete, has Rasheem Green progressed to where coming out of the bye he'll be back available for you? Do you know yet?
There's a good chance. Yeah, there's a really good chance that should happen. He's got a couple things he's got to get done, but he's working great, and all the reports that's likely to happen.
Last question, Bob Condotta.
You mentioned Carlos. So it sounds like he's got a chance to get back this week. I was curious if his shoulder thing is related to the surgery he had last year at all, or
no, it's the other shoulder. Matter of fact, he's going to practice all week like he did last week. We're not going to get him hit during the week, so he'll keep, again, like I said, he'll be able to keep his timing and tempo and all that stuff and conditioning and all of that. And then if he feels good enough to do it, then we'll go. There's that big week coming up, the bye week, can work in different ways for us, as we try to project how to do this. And so if he doesn't play, then he'll get 2 big solid weeks, and then the next week as we prepare to, and he'll be in great shape. We should come out of this bye really with a real boost from our personnel, which we're excited about. But I know he wants to play right now, so we'll see if we can get that done this week.
And then you kind of mentioned there, but Philip Dorsett, is he a guy who could maybe come back after the bye as well?
We're absolutely. I just talked to Philip today. That's exactly what the plan is for that to happen. So that's what we're shooting for.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you guys.